The first thing we want to do is find the AutoCAD Architecture 2020 software, and there may be a couple of versions available to click. The one we want says English and then in parentheses, US Imperial. That's the one that will auto load with the units that we like, inches and feet. So we double click there, and then we are brought to this screen. We can click the button that says Start Drawing below Get Started. Click there, and then it will bring us to a new file. Now, the first thing we want to do is we want to add a couple of options. You may have some palettes, as they're called, already on your screen, or it may be blank like mine. What we're going to do is click on the Home tab here, and then we're going to click this button for Design Tools. And this will load the Tools palette. Yours may be floating so that you can move it around. As long as you can see this, we're in good shape. The next thing we're going to do is click the down arrow below this top button and click that drop down, and then we want to click on Properties. We need to see the Properties palette as well. Okay. Right now, my palettes are docked to the screen. So if I right-click up here at the top, I can check this box, I can uncheck the box, and in that case, let me go find that palette. Oops, it just moved to my other screen. If you uncheck the box, then you'll have a floating palette like this, and you're welcome to use a floating palette. You can put your mouse at the corner to expand the size of your palette if you want, and you can click over here on the side on the darker part to move it around. Okay, let me now call your attention up to the top here, where we have various tabs, and then for each we have this ribbon with lots of different options. So click on the Home tab if you're not there already, and what I'd like to do is if I double click where it says Home, then this will change to a simpler layer, a simpler ribbon rather. And then I could double click again, double click again, double click again. I prefer to see everything available at the top here like this. I think that's the easiest. But if you get really good, you can, and you know what everything is, you can simplify. All right, to get started, let's click on Home and then click on Wall right here at the top. Okay, to start drawing your first wall, you click once in the workspace, and hey, there we are. Notice that white floating box. It shows you how long your wall is, and you also have this measure, this angle measure appearing. Hold down Shift on your keyboard and check out what happens. Now it snaps your wall into place. It can snap onto the y-axis or the x-axis, which is pretty cool. Okay, the other thing I want to point out, well, first let's just go ahead and draw our first wall. It doesn't matter how long it is, but choose an endpoint and click your mouse again. And then, hey, it's already creating the next wall for you. Alrighty, so then you can just continue on, click your mouse again, click your mouse again, and it's really easy to build walls in this fashion. If I go to the end of this wall, the end of this run, it's going to snap in with the existing wall. So let me just, drop my end point right here, kind of in the middle, and look at that. It snaps together. But what do I do now? I don't want any more walls. Simply click Escape on your keyboard. And now we are out from the Wall tool. Now, notice how I built my wall. Let me just move over here for a bit. When I was building the walls, I think I went around clockwise, is that? Counterclockwise? This would be counterclockwise. But you see how that yellow line right there? That yellow line tells me which side of the wall is getting measured. Like which side, the inside of the wall or the outside, which one is 2 feet and 10 inches, 10 1/8 inch? So what if I'm doing it the other way? What if I have a room here, and now wait, it's telling me the outer length of the wall, and I didn't measure the outside of the wall. I measured the inside of the wall. You can change this. Simply hit the control button once on your keyboard, and it will justify on the other side. It'll measure the other side, and it'll, do all the calculating from the other side of the wall. So by hitting control on your keyboard, you toggle back and forth between these options. You may also see an option where you could justify center and measure the center of the wall. So that's a really handy tool, hitting control to change the wall justification. All right. And then hit escape when you're finished building walls. Now, you may have noticed that I'm moving around during this process. My screen was changing. On your mouse, scroll forward with the scroll bar and then backwards, and that's how you zoom. Try this. Click the scroll bar down, depress the scroll bar, and hold to drag around. That's pretty cool. All right, then, what else can we do? You see this, this northeast southwest, this viewport, I think it's called, in the corner? If you click, just click once right here on any of these like little slices, click on this one, perhaps, or this one is a good one. Check it out. It has built a 3D model for us. And if you click on View, the View tab, you can change this from a wireframe to something more interesting, perhaps, like conceptual. That is pretty cool. Not only can you click once to change your perspective, if you click over here on this cube and then click and drag, you can move your mouse around to change and pivot your perspective. That is awesome. Let's return to the top view by clicking on top. Okay. So we know how to build walls. We may have to change properties of those walls. So let me hover over this guy and click once. Now this is in the way, so let me move this perhaps to the other side. Okay, look under dimensions. This is where you have the width of the wall. Maybe it's not 6 inches, maybe it's 4 inches. So you type in 4 inches there and you hit enter. And look, your wall is now thinner. Notice which side moved. This inside wall right here, this inside edge, that's the one that I had justified, and so that one stays put. So being sure to justify the correct side, that's really important when drawing our walls. How tall is my wall? Well, maybe it's not 10 feet, maybe it's just 9 feet. So I do 9, and I hit enter. Oh no, it made it 9 inches. You see how it made it 9 inches, not 9 feet? And if I pivot, that's a tiny little wall. Okay, let me try again. Let me go back in. What was my issue? I didn't type in feet or inches. I need to type the apostrophe for feet. Quotation mark is inches. It was a 9-foot wall, so 9 apostrophe. Then I click enter on my keyboard. And we are better now. Okay. But not just that wall is 9 feet, they're all 9 feet. So first of all, how do I deselect this wall? Hit the escape button on your keyboard and it's no longer selected. Next, if I want to select multiple things all at once, here's what you can do. Click and hold your mouse just in the black space over here and drag around to trace out and kind of capture everything you see. And now let's go change the height of all of those walls at once. Notice how they're not the same. So I do 9 apostrophe and then I click enter with my keyboard. Now they are all 9 feet. To deselect, click escape on your keyboard. All right, the next thing we'll see how to add is a window and a door. So click on the home tab once more. Then let's do a door first. Click on door. And you see now various features for our doors. So if you were to double click here, you can browse various types of doors. And maybe you choose, oops, it popped up in a different monitor. All right, so you can do a standard door, that's the default. But maybe it's, a cased opening with this kind of rounded part at the top. Bifold doors, they have pocket doors, hinged double doors. There's all sorts of things, but we're not going to explore those right now because we're just using standard doors. So let me click the X here for the types of doors. And what else can we say? Well, if you want to plug in the correct width at the onset, go ahead and type out how big the door was. 3 feet, 2 feet, 8 inches, 2 feet, 8 inches, there we go. How tall is the door if you measured that? Okay, well anyway, we've got it all set, we're ready to go. And so now we click on the wall which we'd like to add the door to. So oh hey, once I click back onto my workspace, there's the door, I can kind of see it. Don't worry if it's not in the correct spot, but I'm gonna put it here right now, and then I click my left clicker. And what happened? It went to the wrong spot. That's okay, we'll fix that. But I don't need any more doors, or maybe I just need one more. Mordor. Sounds like Mordor, the place. Okay, I'm finished with my doors, so now I hit escape on my keyboard. No more doors. But this door is in the wrong spot, so let me click on it to select it. I click once, and then I click this button in the middle. I click that, and now I can move the door, and I click once more to drop the door. That's where I want it. Now click this arrow where it says flip, and you can click the other arrow to change which way it swings. Oops. To deselect, click escape on your keyboard, and if I wanted, I could do the same thing here. Click it, click this button in the middle, change its placement, change how it swings. Maybe it swings into the tiny room. But the point is, we can add doors in this fashion, and then if you change your perspective, there they are. Pretty cool. Okay, let me click top again. The next thing we're gonna add are windows. So I click on window, and here it might be worth double-clicking the window type to browse various types. But for my purposes, this standard window, you can double-click it to choose it, but that will be fine. And that is the standard window is the one that comes in by default. All right, so I put my cursor, I click onto here, and let me click on, okay, this is the wall where I want the window, so I click that wall, and now, hey, there's my window. Pretty cool. So I'm gonna add it right here. I click once more to choose that placement, and again, it will continue offering additional windows until I hit escape, right? So I add one there, and then I click escape. You move windows the same way as doors. You click on them, and then you choose this button in the middle. If you click this button, the arrow pointing to the side, you can change the width of the door. And this is a good opportunity to show you something cool. When it comes time to get very precise and exact lengths and widths, watch this. Instead of trying to find the exact spot my mouse should go, I'm just gonna type in I type on my keyboard 4 feet, and then I hit enter, and it automatically makes my door that length. If I need 4 feet 2 inches, I do 4 apostrophe, and then I do the dash, which is right next to 0, 2 inches, and then I hit enter on my keyboard. And that's how big my door is. That's pretty awesome. The same thing is possible with walls. Now this won't move. Okay, so you see how I can't move this to the exact correct position? If your mouse is not doing a good enough job, you can use the nudge tool. So I hold on my keyboard, I hold Control, and then I want to nudge it to the right or to the east. So I hit the right arrow while holding Control, and I click the right arrow multiple times, or I hold down, and it's slowly nudging over to the side. This is better for fine tuning. It's not great if you have large distances to move. So, you know, maybe you go back and you click again and you see how close you can get, and you say, well, hang on. Wait, you see that white box? I need to move it 4 inches to the side, and it's currently moving at 1 foot 10 inches to the side. So I do 4 inches, I hit enter, and hey, it just moved 4 inches. And from here, I could use the nudge tool. I hold Control, and I hit the right arrow, and I hold the right arrow down perhaps to keep nudging multiple times. Or you just click in the middle, you start to move it to the side, and then you type in a smaller amount of movement you want, 3 inches, hit enter on the keyboard, and there it is. And from here, I can definitely nudge it over using Control and right arrow. Okay, one quick note about the nudge tool. If you change your perspective so that you're viewing it like this, if I hit Control right, it is still going to move my window to the east, which is actually to the left. So just be aware, I'm holding the right arrow right now and it's moving to the left. Be aware that your arrows on the keyboard refer to these cardinal directions. Okay. So let me change my perspective. I click and drag on the cube, and hey, there's the window. The last thing we'll learn how to do is add furniture like tables and chairs. So first, click on the Home tab, and then click this drop down where it says Tools. Next, choose Content Browser. Now, before we start dragging, before we do a search, we have to be really careful. We want to make sure we are pulling things into our drawing that have inch measurements in inches, the length and width in inches. Otherwise, you'll have to be converting from millimeters, and that's a pain. So on this first screen, let's get all that away. On this first screen, find the option that says Design Tool Catalog Imperial, and click on that. Here it is, Design Tool Catalog Imperial. And then we can go do a search, or if you want, you can browse these offerings. So I'll just do a search for table here. I click Enter on my keyboard. The search doesn't take too long. And now I have all these options. But before I go picking one, like see this coffee table, it does not have any units, any inches or measurements. So that's a problem. What we do then is we click on the second page, and we are going to pick a table. Hey, this rectangular table is fine. That's not my dimension. Those aren't my dimensions. That's okay. I've got the power to change those and edit. So what you do is you hover over the icon, then you click on Insert into Drawing. And if I move my mouse, the table follows. Let me click and add one here, and I'll add a second. Well, maybe I shouldn't add any more, because after all, I'll be changing the size, and I don't want to have to change the size of every single table. I'll just copy and paste my correct table. So one is enough, and I click Escape on my keyboard. Then I click on the table to select it. And hey, there are the inches, X, Y, Z. Z would be the height. If you look down in the bottom left corner, you can see the axes for reference. Z is the kind of the height going up, and then you've got X and Y. So I need to change my table to the correct size. Perhaps my table is, I don't know, let's click it again. Maybe the table is 80 inches long, right? I can click here where it says X, type out 80, click Enter, and there's my 80-inch long table. I can click that square, the blue square in the middle, to move it around. And you can also rotate the table if you wish, under Rotation. Rotating works, that's fine to do. You can do 90 for a 90-degree rotation. There we are. Okay, so let's say that this is the correct table size, and you can change the view to check out, hey, it's an actual table. There it is. Now we need to copy and paste so that we have others just like it. Click the table, and then with your keyboard, hold Control and click C. Then hold Control and click V. And now, let's see. Now your table, okay, you see how the table is floating, and you should be able to drop it down. For some reason, my cursor is far away from the floating table. Your cursor should be right on top of the table, but you should see a table appear when you click Control V, and then you can just move your cursor, and you can click to choose the location, and so I just set it down right there. As the final thing, I want to go back to the walls for just a minute. If I click on this wall, or you can, select it by clicking and drawing a space that captures the wall. You can change the length right here under the Properties palette where it says Length. Maybe it has to be a 22-foot, 5-inch wall. So you type that out and you click Enter on your keyboard, and there's your long wall. So that's AutoCAD in a nutshell. It's a really powerful tool. To save our work, we can click on this A in the corner, and we can click Save, Save As. When it comes time to export, you can click this Export button, and it is possible to export as a PDF. So when we export as a PDF, we can click Save, and here's what it looks like. It's a pretty official looking plan from the top view. So that's how we use AutoCAD. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope you enjoy.